So I've just set up my, well, for 1/4 of an inch, the closest oversized drill I can find is 6.5 millimeters, which is a little larger than I'd like. So if anybody out there knows a drill, I think 1/4 inch, the hard conversion is 6.35 millimeters, and I'm using a 6.5 millimeter drill. That's a little bit larger than I would like. So if anybody knows of an intermediate drill, please let me know. Here we go. So I've re-shimmed up the back of the knife. So the knife is parallel or horizontal again. Let's do the 6.5 millimeter drill. And that is the first scale fully drilled. So I've just done a little diagram and some notes here to help us along. So the first thing we did was measure the total taper of the tang, which I'm going to call 2A. And then we divided the total taper by 2 and we received A. In this case that's 1.15 millimeters. So the third thing we did was we clamped the scale against the tang of the knife and we shimmed the butt end by A. So that's the first process we did. The green is the knife with the tapered tang. You can see it tapering down there. The scale is the pink thing. We clamp the scale against the knife, against the tang, and then we put the shim in. The shim was A, which is 1.15 millimeters. So what we're about to do now is we want to drill the second scale, and to do that, what we're going to do is, now I've drawn this, so this is the back of the knife and this is the front of the knife. Unfortunately here I've shown it around, so here's the back of the knife, the butt, and here's the front of the handle scales near the choil. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the knife out, we don't need it anymore, and we are going to put a shim in between the front end of the two scales, which is 2A, which is the total taper of the tang. So basically what we're doing is we're trying to replicate the angle of the two scales if they're on the side of the tang. So we put this 2A shim at the front, we leave the back touching, and now it's the same shape as if it was sitting on the knife. And what we want to do now, this center line here I've drawn is the line of symmetry for the two handle scales. And to get that horizontal, we've got to shim the back up by A, which is half of the total. So the front gets shimmed in between by 2A, the total taper of the tang, and the back gets shimmed by A, which is half the total taper. And that'll give us two scales that are sitting in the same relationship as they would if they were on the knife, and their center line is horizontal. So what we're going to do then is, this is the first scale that we've already drilled on the bottom. Sorry, here's the first scale that we've already drilled on the top. And we're going to use those holes that we've already drilled as a template. And we're going to drill through those and then through the bottom scale. And that should give us some holes that when we have finished, we'll be able to put these scales onto the side of the knife and put our pins perfectly through, and everything will line up. Okay, so here's our scale that we've already drilled, and you can see I've got my top left mark there, top left, and here's my other scale, and there's the top right mark. So those two go together. You can start to see how these marks become handy. Now my spacer for this end, I'm going to use this piece of G10, which I've sort of just surface ground down, so it's 2.15 millimeters exactly. And we're going to put that just there, right. So this is the front of the scales, and we'll clamp that. And there you can see how we've introduced a gap, a tapering gap in there between the scales. And now what we're going to do, we're going to put that on top, this one that we already drilled, because we're going to drill through those holes again. And at the back, so here we go, put that there, and then at the back we've got to shim the back up by 1.15 mil, which we'll do with our feeler gauge. So there we go. I'm going to move the drill in. Since we've got the 6.5mm bit in, we'll just start with that. Go, we're through. Just changed my bit over to the number 30. So here we are, we've got the number 30 bit in. So the first thing I'll do is I'll pop my my 1/4 inch pin in, just to make sure everything is registered in together. Put my shim at the back. A bit of a pre-line up. There we go. Take this clamp off, move this up, whack a pin in the back here. Just hold it a bit lightly at the start, just to let the drill find the center of the hole, or more accurately, the hole find the center of the drill. There we go. And that third pin will go in. And what we've got is 3 pins all lining up. I'm going to take this off, I'm going to put the tang on, the tang in between them, and then we'll put the pins back in and we'll just see how it all goes together. Just before we do anything else, what we'll do is I've got a little countersink bit on here, and we'll put a chamfer on all the insides of these holes. And what that does is when we put it on and epoxy everything up, it gives a little spot for the glue to settle in inside the handle. And also what it does is when you've got the handle, the handle or the two scales and the tang all sandwiched together, and you're driving a pin through, it sort of allows the pin to find the center of the hole on the other side. So I find it makes the fit up a little bit easier, gives the glue somewhere to sit. We don't need much, just a little bit. Knocks off any burr from the drilling that's standing proud too, so things will fit flusher together. Okay, so now let's fit this all up. So there's my little top left reference mark, which goes at the top left of the knife. I'll put a couple of pins in here, that'll be the easiest way to do it. One in there, 2 little 8-inch pins, and we'll put those through the 1/8-inch tang holes. There they go. Oops, there's the top right mark, put that there, together it goes, and this 1/4" mosaic pin should fit nice and snugly. Just a bit of a tight fit, which is what we want. And there it all is. So that's how it all goes together. So now you'll see the taper of the tang all shown up, the 2 scales on either side, and the pins all parallel, all perpendicular to the centre line of the knife, all fitting up nice and snug, just the way we want them to. Now what I usually do is I go up and hold this up to the sky outside, and I look through, and if there's any gaps, which is not in this case because I've already done this, you can see the light coming through in between the scale and the tang. And but yes, in this case we've got a nice tight fit up, so everything's looking good.